I was a really big fan of Penny Arcade. I had started looking at Penny Arcade almost when it first started, like 98 or 99. And I stumbled upon it. I was playing Jedi Knight, the old multiplayer Star Wars game. I was in a clan, and one of the people that was in my clan sent me this comic, and it was the Tribes one, which was hilarious because we also played Tribes at the time. And so it was super authentic and genuine video game humor. I thought it was amazing. And I started looking at their comic, and then they started to like get a following. Not a whole lot of people, but it ended up being like a community of folks. It wasn't too long before that both Mike and Jerry, Tycho and Gabe, quit their day jobs and they did Penny Arcade full time. And I was like, okay, so there are two guys out there that play video games all day long for their job, and they make 3 comics a week, and they're making a really good living. I want to do that. That is amazing. And I'd always loved video games, of course. Like growing up, loved video games since I was a kid. I really thought of them as artwork, which is another thing that Tycho especially wrote about a lot. And I'd always had a website where I'd done like video game reviews and some small things. And I was like, I want to do something. I want to do, and for some reason, the idea of a radio show sounded fun. This was before podcasts, so there were no podcasts. There were no iPods yet. Um, so we decided to do a radio show about video games in a very small way, inspired by the format of The Daily Show. And so I was like, well, why don't we put our episode and just have it loop? So I made my own Shoutcast server from my room there and just had that one episode repeat over and over again. And to our surprise, after a week or so, we had a few listeners.
Hey, what's up? This is BreakmanX, and welcome to this show on this fine February the 8th, 2003. As always, I'm BreakmanX.
And I am Ricky, the resident PC gamer.
And I'm Shadow.
And this is BDG.
And Jack Burton.
What's up?
How are you doing, Q?
I'm audible now. I can hear you.
Yeah, you weren't talking very loud.
I have to eat the mic, I guess.
Yes, you should eat the mic.
What else,
special?
What else can EA buy?
They just bought BreakmanX.com. I can't believe this. I just got an email.
We just got bought.
They just bought. I mean, quality's gonna go down. Oh my god, it already did. I was like, hey, you want to do this radio show with me? And he was like, no. No one's going to listen to that. Why would we do something like that? And I was like, well, don't think of it like that. Just let's do it for fun. And no one's going to listen, and that's fine. But let's, maybe it'll just be fun. And that's kind of how I thought. I really didn't think anyone was going to listen to it. Completely was doing it for fun. We recorded our first episode. It was originally going to have like video along with it, like everything we talked about. And I even say that in the recording. Like you're probably seeing clips and stuff. And I started editing video to it, but this is when video editing software was super buggy and I couldn't even get it to export. So I said, screw that, and just released it as an audio recording.
Hey, what's up? This is BreakmanX and my pal Richie.
Hi, how you doing?
We're going to be bringing you all the latest news this week in gaming, and hopefully every week we'll be giving you some good updates and letting you come back. Well, let's start by introducing ourselves, being this is the first episode. Like I said, I'm BreakmanX, also known as Matt, if you want to get personal. I'm a freshman at the University of Kansas. I'm majoring in computer science and film, but I'm also taking Japanese and plan on taking it all 4 years. I want to be in game development, although I'm thinking about gaming journalism, but game development I think is where I'm going to go. I've liked video games since I first saw the Atari, when I was really, really small. Didn't play it that much, but when I got my NES and actually saw my friends play it, and I rented it a while before I got it, I was just completely turned into a hardcore gamer. If you'd have asked me in first grade what my favorite sport was, I would have said Nintendo. I've always been a hardcore gamer.
What was working with Spielberg like?
It was completely amazing. It was an inspiration every day. He was on a courageous path to create an archive of Holocaust survivors. I think while he was doing it, the final number surpassed 220,000. And these are interviews that are 2 hours long. Some of them were 5 hours long. But this was in his early days, and I had just finished editing 5 of the 6 hours of the Native American series and supervising the sixth. And I went on a major career-changing path with that because I switched from features to documentaries, mostly because our second child was born.
Hey, what's up? It's BreakmanX, and I'm reporting to you from the Xbox Media Group. Pete Larson just came out and shook our hand because he remembered us. We're about to go into the focus. Are you ready for some Eat Drizzle?
Halo 2. Thanks for coming. Doug Wood. I'm one of the animators on Half-Life 2. Now I'm a demo guy. So I'm going to show you some clips of Half-Life 2 being played. Last year was more of a technology, show you what the source can do. This year, just took clips of us playing the game. I'm going to show you that, and after that, I'm going to show you what we're going to do for multiplayer to Half-Life 2.
Shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine. Not that I wish to imply you have been sleeping on a job. No one is more.
I'd been a Penny Arcade fan basically since the beginning. Their influence in the industry really can't be overstated. One of my first big goals then for the show was to interview the creators of Penny Arcade, Mike Krahulik and Jerry Holkins. And right around the time that they started to really kick off, I got the chance to interview them in person. Our host literally thought we had a virus with so many hits. In a couple years, they were on the Time Top 100 list next to Simon Cowell. Not too long after the interview, we got front paged on Penny Arcade talking about Jack Burton and I playing some Crimson Skies. And hung out with them when we went to Bungie. I stayed in touch with Jerry and love to have conversations whenever I bump into him.
It's kind of interesting to look back on it now and see what we were doing at the time. Nobody else was doing, other than these really big publications. And
Went into the Nintendo booth, was actually playing with some GameSpot guys, some multiplayer.
other than what we were doing, you know, really GameSpot was really the only other real publication. Like, they were the actual publication that was actually doing anything close to what we were doing with their on-the-spot show.
We're at Breakman's house. His computer is quite messy.
I know, the whole experience, I would say, was amazing. For like I said, for a dumb college kid from Kansas, it was the experience of a lifetime. Like, I learned more about video games in that 2 years, and probably, you know, more than I ever should have known about video games in that 2 years than I ever really thought I would. Got to meet some really awesome people. Got to have some really awesome experiences. It was a blast. I really enjoyed my time doing it, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
And I'm Jack Burton, and we will see you guys later.
One of my friends was like, dude, you got a video. And so I'm like,
All right, cool.
all right.
Just remember when you have it that you wanted it.
Yeah. All right.
I wanted to video these jackasses.
We did the interview with them outside in the Kansas cold because the convention center wouldn't let us stay inside. It was a really fun interview. And there's a funny part because Jerry was like impressed that I had this army of people helping me. Because if you look at the picture, there's like 1,000 people in the picture with us, and then one person we don't even know, but everyone else was affiliated with us. And he was like, how do you have all these people that are willing to like do all this for you? And it's like, I don't know.
When did you start to realize that all this was starting to, explode and become as popular as it is?
It's still, like I said, it hasn't really set in.
No, you being here, asking me questions with a microphone.
Yeah,
your friend is holding a laptop. You have another friend that's holding a camcorder at me. I want you to tell me if that seems surreal or not.
It's believe me, it's as awesome for us, or is more for us than it is for you guys.
It is still very, very strange. So we can't deny it. At this point, with this situation, we cannot deny that the strip has become popular. But
Tara actually played Mike in Puyo Pop, which is a puzzle game, and either beat him or gave him a really, really tough match. I'm pretty sure she beat him, which was really funny, and he was not incredibly happy about it. We cut the interview. We played it live on the next show, and then we put it up, and we literally started getting tons and tons of hits. And then it caught on, and then the Penny Arcade fan site put it there. And then we started getting tons and tons of hits. The Penny Arcade guys put it on their forums, and we started getting even more hits. And it was like, it broke our server. It broke it.
All right. First off on the game show, I'd just like to thank the Penny Arcade guys, Gabe and Tycho, for doing an interview with us last weekend. Not only did they do an interview for us, but they also let us video them, and they braved the frickin' Kansas wind, which, as us Kansas know, changes very frequently. But the weekend they were here, it happened to be colder than shit.
Roger, 2/3 of the way through, comes storming up the aisle, goes right by me, and there's a guy in the back of the theater. And he's looking at the screen, and he is about to yell something, and Roger stands over him, and he punches him like this really hard and says, "Stop laughing, this is a serious sci-fi movie." And he's there with his arms folded like this, and, I'm standing in the back of the theater not far from him going, "My God." And Roger, after a while, gets up, and Roger has his head.
Working on the show, both in its Breakman guys, and later on was redubbed as Padinga. Going out on trips with everybody out to like E3 and everything, and doing reporting out there was always a wild time.
There it is.
I mean, we're a small website, always trying to get our reach. And while I'll always say we were kind of like, cutting edge, being a show and a podcast and everything before it was like as big as it is now. At the time, everyone was more focused on the big, written outlets. That's where all the focus and everything kind of tended to go. So I was always fighting for our position to get in and see, what games we could. Yeah, but every time we could, it was a lot of fun.
We got the Halo 2 interview the next month, a month and a half after that. We got it scheduled, and it was really nerve-wracking because I knew that the lawyers were listening.
Hey, what's up? This is BreakmanX, and welcome to the game show on May 17th, 2003. We've got a very special show today for you with a programmer, Mr. Greg Snook of Bungie.
Hey everybody, this is Greg here with our upcoming plans of world domination.
Yeah, so Greg, why don't you tell us about Halo 2?
Well, Halo 2 is everything that Halo has and more. Hopefully folks have been able to see the video we posted on the internet showing some of the demo that we were doing at E3. We're hoping it lives up to the hype that it's Halo 1 wrapped in bacon and fried in butter. It's got tons of new features, and we really hope that the fans like it.
Halo 2.
We're talking with Greg. All the Halo 2 fanboys were listening. That was equally stressful. We got posted on halo.bungie.net and the fan site. So as we're listening, as we're broadcasting, it took our broadcast down because there were so many people listening to it. There just wasn't enough bandwidth. And you hear me on the episode saying, there's so many listeners, sorry if you can't hear us right now.
It looks like people are having connection troubles because of the overwhelming amount of listeners we're having. I greatly apologize for this, but we've just got so many listeners out there. If you're having a problem listening, please message me. But this will be available in MP3 format after the show, and you can keep writing in your questions and things like that.
You know, and I eventually limited the amount of people listening so we could still broadcast. We did the show, and then afterwards I put it, I went to my sister's house, and while I'm there, I get like this call from our web host that's like frantic. Like, we think your site has been hacked. There are millions of connections coming in, and it's completely taken down the entire infrastructure of like the server. I was like, no, it's just Halo. So early on in the show, I was making fun of Halo, and I started getting emails defending Halo very specifically. Turns out, people at Bungie were listening to the show, and I became actually good friends through all this with one of the programmers named Greg Snook, who ended up doing a live Halo 2 interview with us on the show. And that was the next really big catapult, as we were the first Google hit for Halo 2 for a significant amount of time. And we started going to lots of industry events like E3, exclusive parties, and that was really our launch into a greater world.
I'm here with my friend Jack Burton.
Nice meeting everybody. I'm Jack Burton, and I'm the ranger to Break's Hunter.
We're at Breakman's house. His computer is quite messy.
And then if you look in there, you see Shadow. That's hard as he works.
Hard at work itself.
Yeah, on iTunes.
Yep.
How's it going, Richie?
It's going just fine. And whose funeral do we come back from just now?
Our own?
You're right. You're the only one that remotely cares about sports games, right, in any way, shape, or form. Just like I'm the only one that cares about racing games in any way, shape, or form.
We're going to tell you the best games ever. Like, this list is so definitive, no one could ever argue with it, so don't even try. No, we used to call these the We're Wrong awards. I looked back actually to make sure that's what we called them. So if that gives you any hint, but We're Wrong Awards 2024, since it's, you know, going over the previous year and before. But basically, we're going over everything, all the systems that we have some sort of an attachment to, that you know, that we've played. Don't necessarily own them all, but some kind of system where we've spent significant time with them and really enjoy the games of them. So, you know, you won't see any MSX. Nothing against the MSX, but you know, we just don't have as strong of an attachment for it. So, and we just lost the MSX portion. Oh no. Well, hopefully they come
What are we
back.
gonna do about the PC-88 though? Come
I know,
on,
right?
Hey, what's up? This is BreakmanX. We're going to be bringing you all the latest news this week in gaming, and hopefully every week we'll be giving you some good updates and letting you come back. I'm a freshman at the University of Kansas. Jack Burton, who you may know from Game Breaker, will be filling in for Richie this week.
Here at the Microsoft party, we're having a lot of fun. Break is still talking to many important people like Kevin Burton.
And I just got back from a Halo tournament at which I took first place in and won $100. I'll be talking about the Halo 2 video and some other nifty things from E3.
Hey, yeah. I'm going by the name of Maul on here. Kind of a strange coincidence on that. Jedi Weezer goes out, Maul comes in, so I guess we're going to the dark side persuasion on the show now.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
We weren't ready to handle all of these listeners. Got so many listeners out there.
This is BreakmanX, and welcome to the Game Show 2025. The Game Show is a celebration of video games and our collective interests mixed with a healthy dose of humor, while bringing on our favorite people in the game and movie industries as guests, except tonight, because tonight is old school night. But let's get on to some computer action. PC.
Wait. Did we hear Darria?
Oh my God, Darria! Sorry, Darria. I was so excited. I was so excited to read the thing.
What was that experience working with Spielberg like?
He's looking at the screen and he is about to yell something, and Roger stands over him and he punches him like this really hard and says, "Stop laughing. This is a serious sci-fi movie."
You've got the time completely cleared from your schedule. What game would you most like to erase from your memory and then experience again for the first time?
Oh my gosh. Ooh. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a real good one. You know what would be great, honestly? I mean, this is a pretty basic answer, but Final Fantasy VII would be really good.
Oh,
I mean,
that would be mine too. That would be mine.
And I felt like I needed something really special for the ending. And it doesn't look that great now. I could do a better job now, but I had this like super tight close-up shot of the DMG screen of the ending of Super Mario Land, which has, I think, one of the greatest pieces of music in all of gaming, the credits of Super Mario. I just love that ending. And I was like, it's going to take a little extra time. I mean, it's not a long game, but I'm like, I'm going to play through this whole game.
What's up? This is BreakmanX, and welcome to the game show on June 4th, 2025. Since 2002, the game show is a celebration of video games and our collective interests mixed with a healthy dose of humor while bringing in our favorite people in the game and movie industries on as guests. And as always, I've got my buddies here with me. Jack, how's it going today?
Going great. Guess what? We're just a few hours away from Switch 2. I'm
Switch
so
2!
excited. Woo!
Switch 2! Woo woo! Oh my god, Maul appeared like perfectly at the right time. That's amazing. That's awesome. I'm glad you're here. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. I am waiting to perhaps jump right out of this and into a store where I will find a pyramid of Switch 2s waiting for me. None for you, Break. I'm sorry.
None for me. Actually, I'll talk about it in a second, but I have a pretty good chance of getting one tonight. Pretty good, but not because of my doing.
No. We'll see. I'm hearing conflicting information depending on which news source you go to. It is either people's orders are being canceled because there's a shortage, or there's an unprecedented number of them available. So,
well, according to Best Buy employees on Reddit, which is like the most reliable source that exists, they have 75 to 100 beyond the pre-orders. So, I'll talk about that in a second. Logan, I want to introduce you, sir. How's it going?
Doing good. Yeah, I'm not getting a Switch 2 today, but I'm chilling. I had a pretty good weekend. Went to a film conference in New Mexico and met a lot of good people out there, so that was fun.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you made it back. Hope you had a lot of fun there and did some nice work. And Darria, how are you doing this evening? Welcome back. You've had a little vacation there.
Yeah, I went to Red Rocks to see Lord Huron, and that was pretty awesome. And right back into work this week and super sunburnt.
Nice. I'm also sunburnt. And Jess, how are you doing this evening?
I am also not getting a Switch, but I'm super stoked for everybody that is. Yeah, it's been a busy week, but everything's going great.
Nice.
awesome. And we have a great guest with us here tonight. Ethan Jackson is an award-winning radio host and filmmaker from Topeka, Kansas. He's interviewed many artists in the rock and metal scene, including bands such as Korn, Shinedown, and Bring Me the Horizon. When he's not working, he enjoys going to concerts and catching the latest movie releases on the big screen. How are you doing, Ethan?
I'm good. I'm upset that I'm not getting a Switch tonight.
I know this is a ruse. This is a ruse. So you're not in line.
I will say though, I have been on Reddit all day watching everyone freak out, so it's been a blast.
It's
I feel like included at least a little bit.
It's fun. Well, here's what I can tell you: BreakwomanX right now is in line at Best Buy. She's number 10, and if they do have 75 to 100 there, we're definitely getting one. So eternally grateful to her if you're watching, in the line. Hopefully, no one attacks you. So.
Is she going for the standard or is she going for the bundle?
Mario Kart bundle and a Pro controller. I've already pre-ordered the Pro controller, so we definitely are at least having a controller.
Yeah, if you're getting the bundle, just wait.
No way anybody wants to actually pay $80 for Mario Kart, right?
No.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to pay $50 for Mario Kart, but
it's just to save money. That's the whole.
You see, that's going to keep my streak going of always being able to walk into a store and find a Nintendo system on release day. Is going to walk in and be a pile of Mario Kartless systems just left on the ground. That's a fool's game.
It's gonna happen. It's somewhere. Somewhere it will happen.
I don't know. It's gonna. I've had a history of getting the Nintendo consoles on day one, going back at least to the GameCube. Where actually BreakmanX and I stood in line for that one together too. I found my pictures from E3 whenever taking pictures of Miyamoto unveiling the Wii U recently, and I also found my blurry picture of Jeff Gerstmann. So let's go ahead and get started, everybody. So you should buy a cup.
Nice. It's a glorious cup. It looks like a great mug.
It's a great mug. Everything tastes better in it. No, seriously. If you want to join in on the fun, go ahead and write us a message there below. On YouTube, you can also go to BreakmanX.com, click Discord, join us there. All you folks on TikTok, you can talk to us there as well. And on Facebook, whatevs. We're everywhere. So let's go ahead and dive in here. So, I want to start with film. So, all right. I want to start with seeing Scarlet. Okay. I understand a former crew member is here in attendance. Could that person raise their hand? Oh, so we've got the writer, director, and the sound and director of photography here. Ethan wrote and directed this movie, Seeing Scarlet, and Darria was the DP and sound, both production and post. Nice. And it was actually, let's play a clip, and then we'll talk about. There might be a fun surprise at the end too. All right, tell us about what we just saw.
Okay, so that was the very end of the movie, and then some behind the scenes shots. Good God. I thought I deleted those.
I keep backups of everything.
Oh, I know. I know. Okay, so I don't know. That was the fun part of the movie at the end, where we got to be a little artsy fartsy with the the security camera footage. Actually, Matt, did you do that effect?
I did.
Is that right? Yeah, you did that. And then the canted angle turn. There was a movie that literally, I forget what it was. It might have been Black Panther.
It was Black Panther.
Yeah. I was
We
like,
pushed me the full 360
It was
so
a
we
Dutch
did as much
roll
as we
that
could.
you wanted to do. Yep.
I was like, we'd literally just seen that, and I was like, that looks pretty cool. We should try that with whatever equipment we can actually use. And so, yeah, that was that. But and then the disgusting behind the scenes shots. So
I just thought it'd be fun. I was gonna put more, but
it was fun. Thank you for not putting more.
Did you see Madam Web? Because that movie is all Dutch rolls. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, that movie is. Yeah, it's a movie. It exists.
It is that. Yep.
It is definitely
It's
a
true.
movie. It is definitely a movie for sure. But yeah, I wanted to start off talking about seeing Scarlet. So we have several of the members here. We have the writer director, we have the DP and sound person, and also the composer and opening credits person and the effects person.
Mm-hmm.
Me.
I feel like I'm surrounded by so much talent.
Yeah. Especially on that. I always forget which way to point. But what was it like making that movie? Walk us through it.
Oh, it was stressful. It was really stressful. I mean, so we had one semester to do the whole thing, and there was 9 students total to do everything on the movie. I think we had a $1,500 budget, or it might have been $2,000 that we got granted from student government. Went through the whole casting process with local actors. Man, what else made it stressful? So it was a class. So like, if there were issues, nobody could get written up or like fired or anything.
Yeah, you guys always want to
or,
fire
like,
everybody.
You know, yeah, of course. But like, so like, there were obviously like personnel issues that we had to figure out in a class setting where people had to be shuffled and stuff to make things actually work all the way.
I did the shuffling too. I was the shuffler.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you had to execute the shuffle because of the positions you were in. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it was more complicated because it was a class setting and you couldn't just
yes,
you know, you couldn't just bring in anybody else and stuff like that.
Making movies in a class is way, way, way more difficult than making them in the real world for a lot of different reasons, and more stressful too.
Well, I think it's good though because like it teaches you to I mean, that's the whole point, is to teach, but teaches you to work with people that might not gel with your personality type, and how to figure that out forcefully, because you have to. Like nobody can quit. I mean, they can just fail out the class, but you know, that kind of thing. And so I think that was pretty useful for me, if not just the filmmaking stuff, also the, you know, how to handle other personalities and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the class is Ethan, besides being, you know, consummate rock star, interviewer, amazing person, and lots of other things. He was also a former student of mine, like half the people on here. But he was the first person to basically go through the new program when I got there. And advanced production is a lot of it's modeled after what we do at SC, and so we basically make one big movie, the entire class. And everyone has like a specific role that they do, just like they would professionally. Like you do one thing throughout the semester, and you know they really grappled onto it. Like, you know, it could have been like, I'm not gonna do this California crap, but no, they took it super seriously, and they came out with an awesome movie that's won some awards. And I went through all the stress with you, by the way. I'll say, like, I tried to act like I wasn't stressed, but I was pretty stressed. You know, especially when you guys were screaming at each other. And
I don't remember that.
I remember that.
Okay, I was being screamed at.
That's
okay. So, see, hold on. Hold for a second. Okay. I'm going to say that I haven't seen her in 6 years. It's fine. We can say it. When you're on set and your producer comes up to you after they've been asked to do something from the AD, and they ask somebody else to go do it that was in the middle of actually doing something, and they come up to you and they go, well, that's not my job. I get frustrated as a director because it is your job, first of all. And then, I was yelled at on set and then also in class afterwards. And I believe I was forced to apologize, which sometimes is what resolves the situation. So like I said, dealing with people that you might not normally gel with was a big part of that. But yes, Matt, you were also very stressful because of that and other things that
I was very stressful.
You were stressed. Sorry. And then also like we were doing things that were not safe and other stuff too. Like there was a shot that Darria was pretty insistent on where she stood on a table that was not secured and she was not secured to said table. And we didn't even end up using it. And I also don't think we had insurance.
Insurance isn't required in Kansas. That's fine.
No, it's not.
OSHA's not listening. Don't worry.
So like stuff like that was, I don't know what's happening. But anyway, so stuff like that made things a little bit more complicated. Or we'd come to class the next week and Matt would be like, yeah, you probably like shouldn't have done that. But now you know, so just don't do it again.
Or when you guys,
that was a nice part about being in Matt's classes too, is even the semester before in film 1, everybody had their own project that they directed. And then I forget whose project it was. Somebody said, well, we were trying to figure out when to film and we were all like, well, we're all available around midnight. And so we were like, let's just do a night shoot, right? It'll be great. And so we started shooting at like 11 or 12. And by 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, we were all pissed and everybody was mad at each other and everyone was tired and we just had to call it and then start again 4 hours later after everybody slept for a little bit. But Matt's a great professor.
Oh,
so
thank you.
He does a great job.
See you guys next week.
And on that note,
I'm playing the end credits music right now.
Yeah, shot list was important in film 1. That's something that we
shot
didn't
list.
do.
Because you guys didn't do a shot list.
Yes.
And I told you should do a shot list, and you came back, and your first words were, "We should have done a shot list."
Well, that's part of what I appreciated about it too, is that we were allowed to fail, and it was okay.
Oh, you have to. You have to make mistakes.
Yeah, like we didn't have to do anything any one way. It was we were allowed to mess it up, and you let us mess it up, and
you
then
have to.
Yeah,
you have to have a safe place to mess it up, so that way you don't get yelled at later when it actually matters.
Yeah.
But
did it not matter?
Oh, it mattered a lot.
Okay.
Well,
right.
Since we've got another crew person here on Darria, what was it like for you on Scarlet?
It was honestly, because I was kind of recutting my reel a little while back, and I still really like the stuff that I was able to shoot with Ethan on that project. I kind of was like starting off as like the sound and helping out with casting. One of the things I love about the interrogation room scene is like that specific table and lamp were used in a theater production of an interrogation room scene. So I knew that the light would have great bounce off of it to light their faces a little bit underneath. So that was kind of cool to connect to kind of like the theater and the film side with that. But I learned a lot with like sound, because I'd never had the opportunity to do sound before that, either post or production, to that degree. And so it was just kind of like a really big learning experience. And yeah, things were rocky, a little here and there. But I do think there was a lot that we learned.
Yeah.
You know, like there was a lot of like connections that were made for a bit after that too. and it's still something that I like to have in my reel. So, and it was, quite a bit ago.
That
Awesome.
lamp, by the way, was tied to a pipe above that. We put the table specifically under a pipe so that we could put the lamp and tie it up there with the extension cord and hang it that way and then plug it into the wall.
And then we jerry-rigged the little lights with gels to the wall. Yep, tried to get that to work. But I really liked that effect too. Even though it was a pain to figure out, I really liked the effect that it gave and the different kind of like whenever especially when she turns her head down and you can see more of the red light come in.
No, I wanted to give you guys a chance to talk about it because I think you guys did a really, really awesome job. I still show it to the students that take that class every year, so they know what they have to live up to.
I watched it before the show and really enjoyed it. It's a very good film.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Out of curiosity, what inspired it? What inspired the story?
Oh God. Well, I was like, every like episode of Criminal Minds or like Law and Order, like it's some dude killing people. And I was like, well, what if it was a woman? And what if she was going after college age dudes at a bar? And then what if the twist at the end is that the cop kills bad guys at his job and he kind of bounces from, you don't see this on screen, but he like bounces from, I guess, department to department. So like I have ideas in the back of my head for like to make it a series where you follow the cop and he goes from one department to another, where at the end of each big case that he works, he ends up killing the person that is accused of whatever it is. And then just moves on, and then they never figure out, who killed whatever, that kind of thing. And so that was kind of where the idea was rooted in, was a female antagonist or protagonist / I don't know. It was a fun combo to play with because at times she's both. That's kind of where that came from, but I can't take credit for everything. We had a really good writing session. We went to a coffee shop, everybody together.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was fun. Right after everybody voted on it, we also did quite a bit of campaigning, cheated a little bit.
Wait. Okay, since it was brought up, you've changed the rules of the class, by the way.
Oh, did you? Okay,
yeah.
So there weren't rules set out on trying to get people's vote for. Let me back up. The director and producer combo were voted on with the script at the beginning of the semester. And so if you wanted to direct and produce, you had to present the script that you wanted to direct and produce. Class had to vote on it.
If you want to lead the class, you get picked by the class. And I let them pick whatever they want to pick, whatever movie they want to make.
Right. And I'd had this script and I had a producing partner. And we decided at the time, we were like, hey, we're going to go to everyone in the class individually and campaign for our script. And
not just that, you promised them the job they wanted too.
We might have also done that.
You definitely did that because people tattled.
Man. So basically we went and just tried to guarantee the fact that we would make it. And we made
an automatic disqualifier now.
Well, good. It should be. So anyway, after that whole process, we got everybody together at a coffee shop. And we basically had a writer's room where everybody had a copy of the script, and we went through page by page, and I got notes from everyone in the class. Avery, who was in the class, she actually gave such substantial notes that we gave her a writing credit. I was like, I don't feel right making these and taking credit for it, making these changes and taking credit for it. So she got a writing credit on it. But yeah, so that was kind of the process for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's really cool. I still hope that it gets seen more even than it has. 'Cause I think you guys did a good job. Before we move on to the next, any more Scarlet questions, comments, concerns? Any more rules broken? Laws?
Well, not questions, but I just want to say I love hearing your stories as they are so. I don't know, like, I don't want to say typical, but like I remember making small budget films and almost killing ourselves and everyone around us and everything. So great time, and I enjoy hearing it in your journey as well.
Definite flashbacks here too.
Well, I would just like that there was a group that really got along well for the most part. Really good collaborators, lots of varied skill sets. There's been various people that have that come through, and some semesters are different than others. Jess's semester also Jess was also picked as director, and had a really fabulous film too. So.
And I will say that like Matt said, he shows that every year, and I was actually a part of 2 of those classes. I only took the class once, but I was kind of a part of the year before.
She wrote,
and
her script got picked the year before.
Every time that he would show Seeing Scarlet, everyone just kind of knew that that was what you were living up to.
Yep.
And it really is a great film. So.
Also, the first and last movie that I will ever work on, the student movie.
Well, I will say that I really appreciate that because the song for that is really great.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Matt he was like, "What are your favorite bands? Like, what kind of vibe do you want for this?" And so I gave him like a list of things, and then I think he took something that he'd had previously and kind of reworked it a little bit.
Yep.
And it worked really, really well for the opening credits and for the end and everything. So it was great.
It was that song, the guitar riff that was in the clip we showed, that Ethan wanted to show. So
I just got a question from Fenris about
awesome.
The movie. So was there ever something filmed that was off script but was kept in anyways because of...
Yeah. So there's a portion in the movie where, well, is it in? Yeah, it's in the movie. It made it in the movie.
I can tell you I see it every year.
What?
I can tell you I see it every year.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of the part in the woods where we see his face after he's been hit in the head. I don't think that was in the script.
Nope. You filmed it by my house.
Darria and I also did a bunch of other experimental filming. We were playing with a couple of things that nobody else really believed in the class, and so we just went out and shot some stuff for B-roll. And I don't remember if any of that stuff actually made it in or not. It's been a while since I've watched it all the way through, so I don't remember exactly what's in there.
Check it out.
I know. I hear it's good. So
it is.
Since Logan, why don't you go ahead and go through some of the other comments and stuff that people have had?
Yeah. So Johnny Graphic says, "Whoa, the Red Room kind of reminded me of those scenes from Ex Machina."
Oh yeah.
Pretty sick.
I think you guys mentioned that movie when you made. Pretty sure.
I think it was on the storyboard.
Yeah. Very astute.
Fenris said, "Smells like OSHA violations." And then there's some discussion back earlier in the stream. Johnny Graphic said, "Logan, I'm shocked you're not getting one right away." Yeah, I would love to. Budget is a bit tight right now, though. Yeah, I'll try it. I'll try it at Break's house. And then Fenris says, "I don't see the value in buying one right now. I'm not a modern gamer and I don't stream," which is fair. Yeah. Get a console if you.
I definitely hear that. I want to play the Switch 1 games with the updates more than I want to play the Switch 2 games. Although that game Joe mentioned last week, Fast RMX or whatever.
Yeah.
It's Logan. You got to play that. It's F-Zero.
Yeah, I checked it out. It's pretty awesome.
It's like it is F-Zero. It's like if we could make an F-Zero and not get sued, this is what we would make.
Can I give you a little bit of a confession? After getting ready for the Switch 2 this week, I plopped down for the Switch expansion pass just because I wanted to play the some of the. Well, I can already play them, but I wanted the official version.
Yeah,
and I wanted to get the F-Zero on GBA, the one that wasn't released over here in the States.
Yeah, no, I did that too, and for the GameCube stuff that's coming out soon. So. Yeah, okay, I feel you. I don't think it's like a need, but I'm a crazy early adopter and fun. But
same.
All right, Jack. Your turn, sir.
All right, so Ethan, thanks for joining us. I'm always interested in asking about this for people that are also filmmakers because when I was growing up, like when I was in college, one of the coolest things that I like to do was watch director commentaries on DVDs and Blu-rays because it just gave me an interesting look at what like The Thing and having John Carpenter talk about just what he's going through as he's like either writing or shooting this thing, and then also just listening to Kurt Russell just be like, this is the stupidest thing we ever did, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those that are kind of your favorites? Have you listened to any of those? And kind of, if so, what do you like about them? Yeah.
So that box over there behind me is all physical copies of movies.
Nice.
So that's a big reason why I still buy those, is to get the commentaries and the special features and everything.
Nice.
I tend to lean more towards the documentary stuff that comes with that rather than the commentary.
Okay.
I should watch more of the commentaries.
They're good.
Yeah, they are. I just, when I'm going to watch the movie, I want to watch the movie and be focused on it. And so I think that's part of it. But there's one in particular, and I'm going to say something very controversial. It's called The Director and the Jedi.
I knew you were going to say that.
And I knew you knew I was going to say that. It was Ryan Johnson. It was
it's a really good one.
About an hour and a half doc that he did on The Last Jedi. Okay. And it was great. And also The Last Jedi is the best of the new trilogy of Star Wars movies. That's the controversial statement. But yeah, so I really loved that. We used that in reference for another doc project that didn't get made, and I watched that several times. But so I like that one quite a bit.
I love in that one when Ryan's talking about how his movie had more locations than any other Star Wars movie, and the producer's just like, yeah.
Yep. So okay, so if you like those, I assume you've watched Hearts of Darkness?
No.
Oh man, that's like the best one. Apocalypse Now, like it is literally like watching Francis Ford Coppola have a breakdown and just about try to shoot himself on camera.
Yeah, I have it. I have the set, the 5-disc 4K every version set, but yeah.
Now Fred made me watch that.
You should watch that. You should watch that.
I'd already seen it, but he made me watch it again.
Trying to think what other ones are good. I don't know.
I think I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, but the Cornetto trilogy has some great commentary.
Okay.
Empire of Dreams is really good. And actually, the episode 1 behind the scenes is really good. Even if you don't like the movie, it's one of the, it follows along like literally from writing the script to post production.
The best recent one actually is probably on the Oppenheimer disc.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah,
it's like an hour, and it's I've watched it twice. It's fantastic.
Christopher Nolan does some great stuff with a lot of his extras and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, cool.
Awesome. All right, Maul.
Well, just in general, since we're on the topic, what are some of your favorite movies? Give me a breakdown. What makes you tick?
Number one all time is probably Jaws, which is like the basic answer.
Yeah.
I could watch that movie anytime. I watch it at least once a year. It's every 4th of July I have it on.
So good.
So that's probably number one overall. But like, I've been really into horror the last few years, and so like a lot of my favorites are in that kind of subcategory. Halloween 1978 is up there. But even more recent stuff, I'm a really big fan of movies like Midsommar and Hereditary. Talk to Me. Over the weekend, I just saw
Bring Her Back.
Yeah, that movie. Did you see it?
Yeah.
That movie was nuts. I have never. Okay, so I like movies like Saw and Terrifier and everything like that. I know Matt is not a fan.
No.
But which I have a Saw thing in a minute. But I never really get squeamish with stuff like that. But man, bring her back. There's a scene. I don't want to spoil anything, but like where like there's a kid and there's a butcher knife and there's a mouth, and it's probably the grossest thing. One of the grossest things that I've ever seen in a movie, and it made me so uncomfortable. Like I was glad that I didn't eat beforehand because I probably would have barfed. And then there's a scene a little bit later, same kid causing more damage.
That poor kid.
Oh my God.
Poor kid.
And it's more damage to this. It's awful. I looked away. I was like, I can't watch. Like I'm physically unwell, and that doesn't happen to me. And so that's really good. I think that those twins are like blew me away. That was great. But yeah, stuff like that. The Babadook is a great one. Love that movie. I also love Oppenheimer. I'm a sucker for a 3-hour movie that doesn't feel like 3 hours. That's super artsy. But let's see.
Great movie.
I don't know.
He's trying to ignore your break. That's all. That's it.
I'm pretty good
I'll
at
keep
it.
coming back. Yeah, you are.
Super Bad. 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Is a good
Superbad
one.
is such a great comedy. I don't know if I've laughed harder in a theater than that.
Superbad's great.
I wasn't expecting it to be like as funny as it was when I went.
Yeah.
21
Sounds pretty
Jump
good.
Street's really underrated.
Dude, I love those movies. I was so mad when that Sony leak happened a few years ago, and 23 Jump Street, the Men in Black crossover got leaked, and they were like, well, guess we're not making it anymore.
Well, you used to say that Jonah Hill was like your double or something.
Yeah, I used to lifeguard at a public swimming pool, and we'd have like 12-year-olds that would come up to me, and they'd be like, what's up, Jonah Hill? Every day. When I was clean shaven, it was like we looked a lot more similar, and it was, yeah. If he needs somebody to play him in a movie, I'll do it. I don't act, but I'll do it.
Jonah. The offer's out there.
Since we're on the topic of perhaps underrated comedies, and here a lover of Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Yes,
I like it. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but
that's a
good
favorite.
It's
It's one of those people who like want to watch it all the time. It's like, damn.
John C. Reilly is great.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah. You could talk more about. We can talk about horror films all day. That's like,
dude.
my jam.
I've got a section later dedicated.
Oh, have you? Okay.
All right, we'll stay
and
on
it's
top.
you.
Good.
You're the one that's going to get to do it too.
Well, excellent.
I knew
Excellent.
that you would.
Because man,
I love horror too. I just don't like torture movies.
Oh, the Saw thing. So I mentioned they had. Did you see the announcement today?
I don't know if I did then.
Blumhouse now owns the Saw franchise.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, 50%
so they're making a
of
bunch
it.
of PG-13 ones or what?
Yeah. Yeah, and James Wan is involved.
Interesting.
So James Wan is back, and they own 50%. They took over the Twisted Pictures 50%, and then Lionsgate will still distribute it. But that just came out a couple hours ago. So
Interesting. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know.
The last one was good.
I don't know how many more Saws I really need in my life, but
we saw.
I guess we'll see. It does have one of the best de-aging makeup jobs I've ever seen in my life, where they cut back to Jigsaw like 30 years prior, and he's just like the same age, the backwards baseball cap. It's pretty good.
Have you seen Professor X in X2? It looks
I think
really
you mean
bad.
X3.
Oh, is it X? Don't they do it in 2 as well?
I don't think so.
Do they not?
3. You think that he visits Jean Grey sequence, right?
There's the Jean Grey. I thought there was 1 and 2. I could be imagining it. It's really bad.
No, there's another one in the Wolverine origin story though. That was really
bad.
unfortunate as well. Yeah.
Like
so
spongy face. But yeah, James Wan Saw thing is pretty interesting.
Well,
next time we have coffee,
so we'll
then
get
ask me about that.
into more horror, but on the upcoming, I also recommend Dangerous Animals, which is about to hit. It actually, it's one of those. The premise alone, which if you guys haven't seen this stuff, it is serial killer. He kills people with sharks.
Yeah, I saw it. It was. Did you see the mystery screening?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't like
So-
it.
You didn't like it? Yeah.
I can tell by the way you folded
it was
your
so
arms.
much better, so much better than I thought it was gonna be.
No
you
fold.
know, like
Yeah, like
So-
it was. The premise was cool. Like I liked the premise. I just thought it was kind of dumb. But it was.
Yeah?
I mean,
Well, okay.
I laughed a lot. So
Yeah.
I
And
did
there's
laugh a
that.
lot.
I mean, I did laugh like it was Jai Courtney, and it reminded me a lot of if Seth Rogen was a serial killer.
Yes,
because he
Yes.
looks dead like him in that. And I also was really amused that it's basically he's like if a Batman villain got out into the real world, because everything he does is centered around sharks. He's got everything he says is a shark factoid. He loves sharks. He thinks he's a shark. He sings Baby Shark multiple times to himself. Of course, the film. If he was just wearing a big shark skin suit, it would have been right on, and the Cape Crusader could have punched him in the face, and that'd have been.
And his layer
pretty
is
much
a
perfect.
boat. Like it's just like
And his
that.
layer is a boat.
Yeah, it's like it was perfect.
Yeah. So I thought it was pretty. I as it got towards the end, I thought, okay, it's ramping up some suspense. It was much better put together.
Yeah.
Then I thought it's one I probably wouldn't have seen if it
That's
weren't
true.
the mystery movie. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I saw this, and came out having a good time.
That's fair.
All right, Logan.
We'll come back.
Yeah. So, what really grabs you when you're watching a film? Like, what is the thing that hooks you the most usually when a film becomes one of your favorites?
Oh God. I don't know. I pay attention to everything. So cinematography is really big for me. I'm really into plant and payoff, like unreasonably. That's why I love like one of my favorite movies is Tenet. And every time I see Tenet, I find something else that was planted in the beginning of the movie. My favorite line in that whole movie is when the protagonist, he's sitting with Edward, and they're getting drinks. They've just met, and he orders him a Diet Coke, and he goes, "Well, how did you know that's what I want?" He goes, "Well, you don't drink on the job or whatever." And then we find out later other things, and it's just so like stuff like that. This literally second time through, I was like, I just that meme. I was pointing at the screen. I was like, oh, there's Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So stuff like that is really big for me. Just really good story. Like I don't know. I feel like a lot of stuff is rushed. So I like something that's been given room to breathe. Like a lot of my favorite movies over the last several years have been long, like Oppenheimer, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Midsommar. The director's cut is almost 3 hours long, and love the director's cut of that.
Shows you how crazy Swedes are. I'm Swedish.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, so stuff like that. I don't know. And then sometimes I just want to have a good time. Like it doesn't have to be super artsy or whatever. As long as I'm having fun, then I'm good. So a good laugh is great. Like even though I didn't like Dangerous Animals really, like I had a good time watching it, and everyone that I was in the theater with had a good time watching it, and so it didn't really matter if I thought it was good or not. It was just a fun time. Same
That
thing with
sounds like success to me. I don't know.
Well, it was like The Room. The Room is a bad movie, but I have a great time watching that movie in a room full of people that are yelling at the screen and all of that. So
I still have to get him come to Wi-Fi.
Movie was.
I know he said he was going to come.
He said he's going to come to my fest. We'll see.
But
all of his bells need to come too.
Also, I guess practical effects is really big for me too. So I don't like VFX is. I don't know. I'm tired of fake effects a lot. So like that's one thing that I enjoy. Like with Bring Her Back, for example, all the crap that I was talking about a minute ago that made me feel disgusting was all done practically. So that's really big. I don't know, stuff like that, I guess.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice. All right, Darria.
This is a film tangent question.
Oh God.
I know you have a film camera for photography. What have you learned about the process of shooting with that? And when do you think you'll make your first project shot on film? And what kind of film?
It's a good question. I think that the biggest thing that film photography has taught me is to be more selective. Just because you have, you're limited to either 24 or 36 frames on a 35 millimeter roll. And so, you can't take 10 shots of the same thing. You could, but then, you've only got 14 left for the next thing. So being more selective is really important. And not just like with what I'm taking a picture of, but like the time of day and all of that stuff too, because editing is a lot more difficult. You want to make sure you get as much of it done in camera as possible. So that's probably the biggest thing with that. I went on a trip a few weeks ago to Utah, and I've almost done scanning. I shot 10 rolls of film, I think, which is almost 400 shots. And I'm almost done scanning it, and most of it I hate, which is pretty typical. So it was very cloudy about half of our trip, and certain film stocks do well when it's overcast, and certain film stocks do not. And I learned that one that I used does not. And so I don't like the color palette very much. The photos are properly exposed, all of that stuff, but they're just kind of gray. So there's that. First project shot on like actual movie.
Yeah, when do you think you'll make your first shot on film?
So hold on, where's my camera at? 1 second. Well, yeah, so I actually have a movie camera.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
nice.
it's a Revere
JFK
8.
assassination.
What?
Gonna shoot the JFK assassination on that thing.
Yeah, man. So it's a 8x8 movie camera, and so you get a roll. It's a 25-foot roll of 8x8 film, and it's the same width as a 16 millimeter roll. But what you do with 8x8 is you shoot it both sides. So you have to load the film, you shoot through one way, and then in an as dark room as you can, you flip the reel that has already been shot over to the other side and then shoot it again on the other side of the frame. And so then they splice it down the middle and then scan it and stitch it together, all of digitally and everything. And so we shoot with this sometimes, so I have a little bit of experience doing that. We've shot a couple of rolls on this trip that I went last time. Sometimes you have issues with these, and the roll was not tight enough. And so we only got to shoot on half of it because it ripped. I wasn't able to get it fixed. So literally I have both halves like in a dark bag waiting to send to get a processed and everything. But so it's a pain in the butt. And I don't think I would ever shoot a full project on it. But I do have ideas for like B-roll and intros and stuff. There's a docu-series or project that I've been wanting to do for a while about independent cinemas, and the vision for the intro for those is to shoot the marquees and popcorn popping and people going into the theater and everything like that on a film camera to at least use for the intro for that series or doc or whatever it would end up being.
Talk to Kevin Smith about that, or is that something different?
No. So the name was based on a Kevin Smith quote. He was in Kansas City at a theater called Screen Lane Armor that I really like. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say the word, but the movie was called Indy as F. That was his quote. He called the theater that. And they put it on a t-shirt and everything. And so that's what we called the project. And so like I have a Google Drive folder with like a map of all of the independently owned theaters in Kansas and Missouri on it. And lists of different aspects of those theaters and different things like that. So eventually would like to make that, it's just a matter of finding time to do so.
Right.
That's cool.
So I'm curious. I've also got a 8x8 film camera that I've been meaning to shoot on.
Hell yeah.
And I know it can be kind of hard to find 8x8 film these days. So I was wondering, like, do you have a preferred stock you tend to pick up?
So there's a couple. It's mostly repackaged stuff. So like for color, you're gonna get repackaged Kodak Vision 3. That's like the most standard thing. But if you go to Film Photography Project, I think it's filmphotographyproject.com. They have a few options. They've got black and white, they've got color, and then they also do the processing as well. So you can buy your film from them. They'll give you kind of, they actually give you an ISO guide. So I don't know if you can see it all. It's this sticker. They give you this sticker to put on your camera because the ISO settings are not settings. It's not a digital camera. The film sensitivity is different now than it was when these cameras were made. So like if you followed the Sunny 16 rule that's on the plate on your camera, you're going to end up with incredibly overexposed film. And
That's
so
good
like,
to know, yeah.
yeah, so they'll like give you instructions on how to do that. They have like tutorial videos on how to load it on their YouTube channel and everything. I would definitely recommend going with Film Photography Project for all of that. They're really responsive through email too. Like I had a couple of questions the first time we shot it, and they were super helpful.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Very cool. Jack, what are you drinking tonight? Just curious.
Right now, it's just a little bit of apple juice.
Oh,
So,
Ooh,
yeah.
classic.
classic. It looked like bourbon. The nice ice cube. in
You
it.
know, I thought about that, but then I was like, hey, we're on TikTok. It's apple juice tonight.
Oh, that's right. TikTok. Man, if Corey was on that, because Corey was drinking bourbon that night. Kaitor had beer. Man, TikTok, lame. And Jess, it's your turn.
Yeah, so as a writer myself, I'm really curious kind of what your process is when it comes to writing scripts, specifically with either Seeking Scarlet or anything else you've been working on.
Yeah, so I have like a notes folder on my phone where I start with ideas and I'll just jot something down. Even if I don't necessarily plan on sitting down and going through all of the work to write it, I'll just jot the idea down. That way maybe someday I'll get to it. So that's step one. But I go through and you have to figure out where you want to end. You need to start and an ending first. I find it helps. That way you can write the in between, right? How do you get to the destination where you want your film to end? And then I also do character bios and backgrounds and everything. I wrote a 100, close to 110 page screenplay a couple years ago for a film called Camp BYOB.
Oh yeah, that's my next question.
And I wrote like pages of character background and everything in advance, and that really helps you like inform the writing of the script too. Like you have to know the character first before you can write the words that they're going to say and all of that. So you have to kind of pre-decide what that character's behaviors are and background before you get that far. So that was really helpful. I mean, doing a treatment is great too. A few pages. That was really helpful too, to help fill in some space, and then you can take that, go to your script, fill in dialogue and all of that. I don't know. That's really making sure that you're in the right format when you actually start writing your script. Like, don't start it in Word and then switch to something else.
Oh, don't write in Word.
Or Final Draft or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, start in Final Draft and just make sure that you're doing all of that while you're writing, because it's so much more work to go back and reorganize and fix things afterwards.
Oh, I've had students do it. Yep.
I can't
I've
even
gotten
imagine trying to do that.
Oh, it's awful. I've gotten
Yeah.
professional scripts like in Hollywood, like that were horrifically formatted, like worse than any student that I've ever gotten.
Did you get someone glitter? All I can think of anytime I see that is like Arrested Development. It's like, oh god, the glitter fairy's back.
Funny. Cool. All right. You mentioned BYOB. I'm not sure how much you want to talk about it, so don't say what you don't want to.
Yeah.
When I read it, I thought it was hilarious, and Seth Rogen, I think, needs to jump on it. What can you tell us about Camp BYOB?
So, it's feature-length film about this kid who goes to church camp for the first time. And I kind of describe it as if like Superbad took place at a church camp. So like there's a counselor who doesn't really want to be there. He's there because he's done something at the church that was frowned upon, and his parents are like deacons at the church. So rather than any kind of charges or getting in real trouble, they're like, okay, well, we'll have him work at our church camp that summer, to kind of work off what he'd done at the church. And so he's there. He doesn't really want to be there. And then you've got this kid who doesn't want to be there either. Never been to church camp before. His mom's in jail. Dad's kind of a loner. Kid has no interest in church whatsoever. And at the end, he still has no interest in church, but he realizes the value in the relationships that you make with people at camps and things like that as a kid. So he valued that. But yeah, I mean, there's like, kid brings weed to church camp. I don't know if we're allowed to say that on TikTok. I'm sorry.
Fine.
But all sorts
Weeds
of stuff.
sometimes ruin flowers.
It's true.
Prevent things from growing.
Yeah. But like there's all sorts of wild stuff that happens in that movie, or that could happen in that movie if I ever make it.
You should make that. You should make that as a short, because it's a comedy. You can make it. It would be hilarious. I'd love to see you do a comedy. I think that's a movie you could actually get made, because also it wouldn't like low budget like Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
What's the last good summer camp movie?
Exactly. Jack's right.
It's good. Good point.
And it's genuinely funny. I read a lot of scripts. People try to be funny and they're not. This is genuinely funny.
It's a little over the top, and that was one thing.
It's great
that I wanted it to be, was because you can always cut back, right, and make it a little more. I don't know, less vulgar, I guess.
That's what I was talking with our executive producer on Eyes Open, and he used to work at Paramount, and he read just about every script first, because he was at Tom Cruise's company. And so they got like every script before everyone else. And he was talking about reading, I think it was American Pie, like before anybody else, and how like he thought it was absolutely hilarious, but I don't think other people shared his opinion of it.
I mean, other people that that have read it did not share that opinion.
It's true.
So
you you can't take everyone's opinion, even people that know what they're talking about. Like, don't necessarily give good notes all the time.
Yeah. But it's we tried to make a short, but we had Darria was working on that. We had some producer issues. We had a producer that quit. And then we had a camp lined up, but then the guy who'd lined up the camp for us left working at the camp and everything. And so there were just things that didn't work out. And
you wouldn't need a camp though. You could shoot it. Hey, let's talk. We could talk. I would love to see that movie get made.
We could have a pre-production meeting later.
Yeah, Jess is really good at giving notes. She's pretty busy, but
I'd always be willing to read.
Jess gives awesome notes, Ethan.
You'd have to be okay with your parents knowing what the content was in the script.
Jess wouldn't.
So
she wouldn't be offended. I promise you.
And family members and
no, that wouldn't be a problem. Anyway, if you guys ever see BYOB, someday, it's hilarious, and I really hope that's one I really hope gets made. All right, Jack.
Yeah, so Ethan, what are some of your underrated gems? Whether it's movies, games, music. What are some of your underrated gems that you absolutely love from back in the day that you feel are still underrated to this day?
God, that's hard.
Underappreciated. Yeah,
that's a hard question. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times tonight, but that movie Midsommar, I'm going to mention it again because everybody loves Hereditary, right? Everybody gives Ari Aster like credit for Hereditary, and it's great, but I think Midsommar is better than Hereditary, and I'll stand on that every day of the week. And I think that Beau is Afraid was underwhelming. So that's my hot take for Ari Aster. But anyway, I think that Midsommar is underrated. Just because everybody compares it to Hereditary, they're not even the same kind of thing. What else is underrated?
You should come to Lindsberg for Midsummers.
Yeah.
That's happening in like a week and a half.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just as violent.
It is. Yep.
Yeah,
Logan's got a tough week ahead of him.
God, what's underrated? I'm trying to think. I'm gonna look at my letterbox really quick and cheat. Hold on.
There you go.
Music wise, let me think about music. There's this band called The Devil Wears Prada that have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
That I really like, and they're not playing super big venues, and I think they should be. Like, there's a lot of newer bands that are playing big venues that I don't think should be necessarily. And then, so a lot of times you'll see bands like that have been doing it for a long time get passed over by the hot thing or whatever, a band that has one really big album. So there's stuff like that. Let me look at my letterbox. Hold on. I go through my diary really quick.
Read us an entry.
Yeah. Civil War that came out last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that was pretty good.
liked
I didn't
that.
see that.
Yeah. Not enough people saw that. Alice Garland has been on a roll recently, and I really, really loved that movie.
Can I steer towards video games for just a second? I saw he got tapped to do the Elden Ring movie.
Yes.
I don't know. I really like Annihilation. I really want to like a lot of the stuff he does. He definitely has some highs and lows. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
I hope it's good. I've never played Elden Ring. Confession.
You have to like that genre. You really have to like those Souls games.
I haven't played it either. And I like
Neither
Souls
have I.
games. I just haven't gotten to it.
What else is underrated? I don't know. I think a lot of things are properly rated or overrated most of the time.
I don't think most things are rated right. They're either overrated
Well, that's
or underrated.
true. I saw this movie it was a Scott Derrickson movie on Apple TV called The Gorge that came out either late last year or early this year. Has Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy in it.
I've been wanting to see that.
It was fantastic. The first hour is this love story between these two spies that are watching their own side of this big gorge, and they're not supposed to be communicating with each other. And then all of a sudden, things get crazy, and it almost turns into an alien type movie. And it's really cool. That was a good one. I don't know. That's all I got right now.
That's okay.
What about Last Jedi, which you mentioned before?
Oh yeah,
let's make our audience mad because I also love that movie.
Yeah, when it comes to those three, when it comes to that trilogy, The Last Jedi is definitely underrated. Mostly because people are mad that their hero died, and spoiler alert. Whatever.
Oh,
I know it's been way too long. People are just mad that their hero died, and I don't know. I don't think that we like seeing that, on screen. That the guy that that we looked up to growing up or whatever, not being as strong or all powerful as he was, or But it's a reflection of life. People get old and frail. That happens in art in real life too. It's people that we look up to in real life, they get old and they're not as strong as they used to be, and things happen. So I don't know. I liked it. I also really like Rian Johnson as a director. I think he's a great storyteller.
Yep.
And the whole problem with that trilogy is just that they didn't have one vision for the whole thing to begin with, and that just screwed everything over. So
yeah. Though, I will say, I think that they don't necessarily need one. In that, just knowing in retrospect, that, the original trilogy feels cohesive, but how many changes that went through from film to film, if you read the original screenplays, it was just ridiculous. So they obviously didn't know where they were going from movie to movie, or it would change their minds quite a bit, despite George's, stories to the contrary. If you read the scripts now, he did not really have that solid of a plan going into it, they just botched the landing. Unfortunately, that last one could have still pulled it together, but that's one of the biggest disappointments
What
for me,
stinks like anecdotally, I had heard that they had like a vision coming out of Last Jedi, and then just based on the reaction to Last Jedi, they were like, "Oh God,
They changed
we
it,
need to
yeah.
get JJ back, and we need to like completely screw this thing up."
Yeah, if it's available online. There's a leaked script.
Yeah,
for,
the concept art for that too.
Yes, exactly. And so we can verify that the leaked script is real because the concept art they got leaked out of wasn't like from a Korean art book that they scrapped it from the United States. They didn't want to put the concept art for what it didn't happen out over here or something like that. By the way, but it's out there in an officially published book. And even though like it's still a rough script, they definitely needed more drafts to like really tighten it up. But the ideas are like so much better in that than what we got. And it's really sad to see them abandon it because they didn't have enough faith in kind of like where it was going organically.
There's a lot of
I
corporate crapping on that one too.
I saved a lot of that concept art because I really, really liked like even just the idea of what it could have been.
Sure. Yeah, very good. Very good.
We like to some I have not seen.
Check it out.
I cut out. I don't know what you're talking about. What are we talking about?
The episode 9 that never happened.
I want to see it too. I don't know what it is, but I would love to see it.
We're talking about the version of Rise of Skywalker that got scrapped that could have like saved the landing.
It was called Duel of the Fates.
Duel of the
wasn't it?
Fates.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good name.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a perfect draft, what you were saying, but like the potential was much more there, and it felt more like daring and original. I feel like Star Wars' issue that they've had since they moved over is that they've always been like trying to play catch up. And we just played the Star Wars episode. Really wanted to, but because like they're like, okay, we know if everyone hated the prequel trilogy, everyone wants practical effects. When you go back to episode 7, something that feels more like the original, all practical, yeah. And then I agree the movie still made a lot of money, but a lot of that crowd and the reaction online were people who were like, we don't care about practical effects, and we love the prequel trilogy because now it's the kids who grew up with the prequel trilogy and are very defensive of it.
My students like the prequel trilogy way more.
Yeah.
And then in a few years it'll
And
be the
then-
sequel trilogy probably.
Yeah, and same thing with like Solo, like when that came out and everyone online was like, why are they making a Han Solo movie? Who wants to learn about him? And I was just incensed about that because like me. But, you know, Han Solo was like one of my favorite characters growing up. And when the prequel trilogy was out, people like one thing people thought was flawed about it was there was no Han Solo-ish character or no everyman. Everyone was like a stoic, emotionless, Jedi and everything. And there was no one to like, be the real audience, like, Cypher other than
Jar Jar.
Well, yeah, Jar Jar.
He was just
I would
like
say other than like
every man.
than like psychic weird boy Anakin, that no one really related to, I hope. And and so then they're like, okay, well that's what if people missed that in the prequel trilogy, so we need to make a movie about him. He was like at one point like the most popular character who was like winning like popularity contests. He was the most searched figure online, aside from him and Vader always like neck and neck. And by the time they got around to making that movie, that had faded. And they're always making stuff in a reactionary way to what the previous movie did or to what internet reaction was, but they're always just like one step behind what the audience is kind of vibing for at
I
the
don't
moment.
see that changing either. With the
I will say I
corporate
did really
structure.
love Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One and
One's very
Andor. I mean,
Rogue One was
tell you-
great, but it was almost like a mistake that it like even came out and happened.
Yeah.
I will say, sorry, Maul, real quick. Finishing Andor season 2 and then watching Rogue One, it's really funny just looking back on it now. Like not getting into a whole bunch, but like Luthen would have like murdered Han Solo the second he like bolted, and it's just funny that like at the end of episode 4 he's getting a medal. It's just like, dude.
Yeah, I think that we've got the audience is just so like fragmented because Andor, I think most of the chatter online, everyone's like, this was great. It's dark, it's serious, it feels like it's addressing like a lot of our contemporary fears about like government corruption, etc. And it feels like, yeah, I know, right? But no, it just feels like so like timely and interesting. But there is a large part of the audience that is not real vocal online that does not like it. Because like Haley's parents don't like Andor because there's not enough pew pew starfighters in it. There's no like where's the action? Where's the it's all like all the action is in the last like 2 or 3 episodes of the show, and the rest of it's like this slow build, extremely intricate world building, lots of politics, lots of just like courting senators and pretending to sell artifacts and whatever, and they're just like bored to tears by it compared to the the really happy-go-lucky all action all the time of the original trilogy. So I don't know, it's tough to say. Like, will they bring the splintered fan base back? I don't know what's going to make everybody happy.
Disney will do it.
Marvel has a similar problem right now. I mean, and I have the same thing with Star Wars and Marvel, where I fell off on the shows because I got really uninterested in them. Like Marvel, She-Hulk was not very good, so I kind of stopped watching any of the shows after that. I'm sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to offend.
No, I didn't like it either. I kind of forgot that it existed.
Okay, your response was, "Oh, like you didn't like it?"
No, I was like, "Oh, that happened. I forgot."
Yeah, She-Hulk happened, and then like I did watch Daredevil. That was cool, but like I didn't watch the one about Ms. Marvel. And then with Star Wars, after that season of Ahsoka came out, I was like, it was just okay. I think I'm done spending time in the shows because it's just so much time, and you don't really know what you're gonna get.
I don't like that format in general. I don't like
I agree.
The season series. I would much rather have any of those as a film. And I don't know if that's just me, but just in terms of the way that structure works and everything, I just can't. Andor is awesome. So like I can watch Andor because it's so amazing, but I don't think that there's very often something that has quite that much meat that I want to watch that many episodes of. Like Stranger Things, I could have had like half the episodes. Hey,
you got 12 more coming or 9 more coming, plus a 2.5-hour finale.
So much filler.
They're all going to be like 2 hours, and I'm amped.
Yes.
I'm excited to watch.
I'm on board for that one.
Yeah, I'm ready for Stranger Things.
I'll see it at 20. I got to get COVID again because that's how I saw the last season. Otherwise, I'll just never have time to watch 11 and her adventures.
Yeah, the really interesting thing about, and I don't know so much on the Star Wars side of things, but I know on the Marvel side of things with the TV shows too, is I think part of the problem is they're not structuring them, or they haven't been structuring them like TV shows.
Correct.
They've been trying to structure them like movies.
Yeah.
And TV works the way that TV works because there's a formula for it. And so I also like fell off of the TV shows real hard. Also, I just felt like there were so many of them, and it was so much time. Such a time commitment. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I did jump back on for Agatha All Along because I love that character.
That one was fun.
I wanted to see that.
And that one was fun. And I think the reason why it worked was they did try to structure it like TV. And it felt like TV when you were watching it.
You're exactly
And so
right.
like that was like super refreshing.
That was the first one they had a showrunner for.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, it's the first one they actually used a showrunner for.
And you can
the whole all of those. I mean, when you talk to any of the business people, any of the executives, they have no idea what the going on with. I almost said a naughty word. They have no idea what's going on with any of that stuff. With all the data that's coming in, and they're constantly algorithm chasing, and then AI is like behind them in the closet laughing at them. So, it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out pretty soon. But I completely agree with Jess that like going back to a TV structured format would be beneficial for my viewing pleasure. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but for sure for me.
Yeah. Well, they're really pulling back on it, and it's fine. Like, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Jess. I was going to say that I felt like they have some projects that should be movies that are TV shows, and the other way around.
Yep.
But maybe it feels that way because of the structuring issues that they have, where they have a short, like 2 hours worth of story. I think that like the Falcon Winter Soldier, though I overall enjoyed it, really suffered from it having one plot that was like a 2 hour plot stretched across 6 to 8 hours or whatever. And it ends up with a lot of talking heads that just don't really amount to as much for a high octane universe that's supposed to be spent just on big explosions and fights. I mean, like character moments, character development is very important, but like let's not forget what we're here for at the same. It's like let's make the Fast and the Furious franchise into a series and really dig into Dominic's background. And no, I don't want to watch that ever.
I'd watch that.
Please
honestly,
don't.
Bring Han back.
Everything is about social media now. If you're trying to get a show made, if you're trying to get a movie made, you just have to give them a spreadsheet, and the followers have to add up to a certain number to get like your money to make the thing. So like a lot of what's broken is the social media chasing, because that's people go to things to watch the actors, the general public, not us, but the general public, and that's where they have a lot of data on the people they want to watch. And I don't know about you, but those influencers, I don't want to see them act. I mean, they can go to their grocery store and we can watch them shop or whatever, but like I don't want to see them take on dramatic acting roles. Mr. Beast.
Have you ever tried a $30 strawberry from Erewhon before?
No. Oh, is that okay? Yeah. I feel like we're in like this dystopian reality sometimes when I like go, like all the things that are suggested to me on Facebook and Instagram, and it just makes me sad. I just want to. Yeah. Social media is awful.
I mean, we are absolutely in a dystopian future.
I know.
It's just not as dramatic as Mad Max was. Like we were told that's what a dystopia looks like. So when it's not that bad, we don't really realize it. But then
we're gonna save it because Final Fantasy Tactics is coming out.
Woo! Oh, Utopia. Never mind. It flipped it around on me.
Well, it's just the guy. His message he put out was kind of like that. At least that's what I got.
Great. I was pretty pleased with that when I saw it. I was like, all right, man. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't played Final Fantasy Tactics, the story is one of my favorite stories of all time. I love. It's a little convoluted, but if you follow it all the way to the end, pretty cool.
I wouldn't have expected that from a game from Squaresoft.
Right?
Yeah.
They all have perfectly linear stories that have no weirdness to it. By the way, Maul, it's your turn. It's been a while. We should get back into you.
Well, we're just, on the flip side, because we were talking about underappreciated gems before, but like, what are things that other people love that you hate, that you just can't stand?
Oh, goodness.
Aside from Dangerous Animals.
This is going to be fun.
I didn't hate Dangerous Animals. It was fine. God, I don't know. What's something that
alienate the audience?
I don't know. What's something that people have liked recently that I didn't vibe with? I don't know. That's a hard question. I wish I would have gotten these questions in advance, Matt.
I'm curious because I was there when you walked out of the theater.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Did your opinion change on
weirdo.
Sinners?
No.
Wow. It's interesting. Interesting.
I mean, okay, so it's a nuanced opinion. Okay, so let's like cool the jets a little bit.
You know what year this is? We can't have nuance in 2025.
Okay, so I really liked Sinners. All right, but I didn't need the vampire stuff to work for me. That was my opinion. Was the vampire stuff was extra, and I could have just watched the movie as the twins opening the juke joint, and like literally nothing else happens. Like I would have been satisfied. I was so in it, and then all of a sudden there's vampires there, and I was like, oh, I forgot that was supposed to happen, and that kind of thing. And so I was really into the story as is, and then it got kind of crazy. So that was my kind of Sinners hot take. I really liked it, but I just didn't necessarily need the vampire stuff for it to be a good movie.
I just really liked the fact that he didn't get any notes whatsoever. I love that his contract said that the studio cannot give him any notes. And how
he also owns the movie for like 20 years.
And then he gets it back. Yeah. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
he owns the rights for like 20 years or something.
The other way around. The studio has it for now.
For 25 years.
So they get to milk it, and then it reverts back to him and or his family in perpetuity. So that's a very interesting. Yeah.
So, did he have Final Cut too?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he had. He could basically do whatever he wanted. And then
somebody was really feeling Ryan Coogler that day.
I mean,
he's proved himself.
He's great at what he does.
Oh yeah, no, he's excellent. He's like, there's so many other like also proven directors that do not get that benefit. You know,
well, like never mind.
I think it's starting to change a little bit though. Like,
we can help. That's great for the artists. I prefer that.
I'm gonna bring it up again. The twins who made Talk to Me and Bring Her Back. Like, A24 is letting them do whatever the hell they want. They're like, you made us a lot of money on that first movie. It was great. People loved it. It went to Sundance. Make whatever you want, because they were supposed to make Talk to Me directly after Talk to Me. The sequel, and they were like, well, we've got this other movie that we want to make first, and A24 was like, sure, you just made us a buttload of money, go make it. You know, and they're making a documentary about deathmatch wrestling where one of the brothers is actually like involved in the death matches, and they're putting a camera in the ring. He said, I just watched a podcast that they were on today, talking about how crazy it is. Nobody's ever really done camera work like this.
That's spicy.
Yeah. So like they're doing all sorts of stuff. I think people are finally getting to do that, but then you've got like, I don't know, David Zaslav that just makes too much money and wants to use AI and all of this stuff. That like it's you get two sides of the coin and you flip it and that's what you see in Deadline that day. It feels like so.
Sure.
Yeah. And we got, I think, as I don't know, the audience, like, go support the films that you like. You know, like for me, like films that are made by artists that are independent, they're gonna be sloppy, they're gonna be messy. You know, they'll have a lot of imperfections in them, but you know, they also feel like they swing for the fences and they hit some real highs and should be appreciated. You know, for that. And if you ever look back at like I don't want to get too nostalgic. I do think it's kind of poisonous to say like the 80s were like the greatest film decade ever or whatever people say, because we forget how many movies did not make it to DVD that were just like in landfills out there because they were also hot garbage out in the grindhouse scene, whatever, you know. But there is so much more like just zaniness, like where people are really taking risks at those times because we hadn't like codified so much like what we think people want, and you know, really taking a lot of chances and stuff like that. And it's good to find where people are still able to do that. That's why part of why I like horror as much as the space is because it's cheap, and so people get to experiment more with it before they go do a blockbuster tentpole, and then they got to play it like totally safe.
I suppose the business folk, and I hope this isn't true, but the business folks are saying in Hollywood that there's basically going to be three types of movies. They're going to be like the AI slop that's going to proliferate for a lot of stuff, and then there's going to be big, huge, gargantuan budget movies, and then the medium budget movies are going to kind of go by the wayside, and there's going to be kind of your small indies.
I heard that the medium films have already gone by the wayside.
That's it. They're pretty much gone. Yeah, like that. Like there was a point 15, 20 years ago where like the $30 million budget was like your sweet spot that everyone tried to make it, and then that just like dried up and went away.
I'm talking even lower budget than we're used to, like 10 million below. Like we're looking at, because ultra low budget now starts at what 300,000. So the 300,000 to like 3 to 5 million range. So it's gonna be like tiny, bleh, and then no humanity.
I mean, I think you're seeing a lot of that across all media. Like it's movies, it's games, it's
is
music too. Like you're losing the middle that middle that used to be so prevalent in all those forms. It's just kind of gone by the wayside. There's either the bets are too big or the bets aren't big enough.
Middle class too. You forgot them.
Yeah, you're right.
It just kind of feels like they decided that like the big stuff is what everybody really wants, so they're gonna spend like so much to make the blockbuster tent poles.
And I like
incredibly big.
I like big stuff.
they can be
Like
good.
I enjoy pretty much all types of movies done well. But there's those medium movies tend to have a nice mix of artistry as well as like the budget and tools and tech and people involved to really pull things off.
Because they're spending
I always
so much
like
on the big ones, they're
with
not
James
spending more on the medium ones anymore.
Right. I love with James Gunn. Like they asked him, he went from like Maul movies to Marvel movies. Like, was it hard to go from indie to Marvel, these giant movies? He's like, no. Like with indies, I had to be involved with everything and like, do so much stuff. And with the Guardians of the Galaxy, I could just think of something and some expert that knew exactly how to do it would just do it. It was like, done.
And I think people have forgotten, and when I say people, I mostly mean executives, but what the whole point
nice
of
of you.
blockbusters were and like what they were meant to be. They weren't meant to be like 50 blockbusters a year. Like you're
Right.
supposed to have like one or two, and
Yep.
that's where like the word comes from.
Yep.
Of like it busted through everything and was like this huge thing. And now I think there's going to be a payoff for every movie that they sink that much money into. And like human attention doesn't work that way. Like you're supposed to have a bunch of those medium level ones and then like a handful of huge ones that like get all of this like huge hype and a bigger turnout.
Yeah.
And they just think that they equated the like if we just put the money into it, then we get the money back because everyone will love it. And I'm like, that was the wrong lesson that you learned.
That's why Marvel fatigue is the thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Although I will say, gotta give Marvel some prop. I mean, having that many successful movies under the same producing team, like I know I know they're giant like Block, but he started out like getting people coffee and working up to producing like a gazillion movies that made a gazillion dollars. I don't know. It's
So it just kind of goes back to the shows because they just got spread too thin. They added shows on top of the movies they were already doing.
There's also, people saying, hey, you need to make more, where you're like holding up the company. You need to make more of these movies. Hey, you need 2 years? We'll give you 1 year. And then like they don't even have time to like finish the special effects, visual effects. But, it's hopefully there's some good things to buy. Who are we on? We're on Logan.
Okay.
Then we
So
have
I
to
know-
wrap it up because I have to go get a Switch too.
Oh, okay. Good luck. I'll ask this quick. So I know earlier you said you aren't a big visual effects guy, but I'm curious, as a visual effects artist myself, is there any particular VFX shots that grabbed you, that are memorable for you, that you did enjoy? And also throw in some special effects as well. Oh,
We can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
We lost him.
Damn it.
Some radio guy you are. Still can't hear you.
Nothing. Yeah.
God, I hate A24. So bad.
Nope.
What about now?
Now we can hear you.
There we go. Okay. There was like my refrigerator did a power surge a second ago, and my board turned off and back on, and so I think it had to do that. Sorry. What I was saying is to me, just on personal taste, like VFX tend to not be. I don't remember specific VFX shots that I'm like, oh, that was amazing. The practical stuff is what grabs me, that is memorable. Just to be completely honest, like out of movies that had really good I mean, Endgame was great. Endgame had really good VFX. Infinity. I mean, there's a lot of the Marvel movies that have good stuff like that in it. I'm trying to think. The Room has incredible green screen work.
The best.
It's really great. The Chroma King is fantastic.
So
you can't
good.
tell at all. No, so like, yeah, I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. But I don't. So that's really hard. Like I said, for me, that it's the practical stuff that like I really remember, or the technical things like, I don't know. It's really I'm a sucker. Like even like in Oppenheimer, right? You know, they specifically cut black and white film to do all of this black and white shooting instead of taking the Kodak that they were going to use for color and then just making it black and white in post. Like it's little things like that that like really grab me over, you know, a team of 30 visual effects artists rendering a shot of a purple guy's hand in a Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that it's not cool. It is, but that's just not my, I don't know. The movies are cool, but it's just not my cup of tea. So
have you seen one called Edge of Oblivion? It's got some pretty good effects work in that.
Really good.
You know what does have
Like the best
Gareth
movie I've seen
Edwards?
this year.
Gareth Edwards movie. What's it called?
It's Logan's
The
movie.
creator.
The Creator.
The Creator's one of my favorites recently. Yeah.
Oh, The Creator's great.
It has a really good mix of both.
Some good concept art on that one.
Gareth Edwards is one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, he's great. He's great, and he shot all that on like is it like an FX3?
Yep.
I think
the FX3 is great though. I love the FX3.
But so like that film is a really good blend of both, using the environment and then adding layers on top of it to enhance everything rather than just creating the whole environment in a computer. Stuff like that I really appreciate.
I'm a big fan of that as well. Like I feel, you know, if you have as much practical as you can, you have perfect reference, and then VFX can enhance beyond what is physically possible.
Right. Even in Bring Her Back, that podcast I was listening to with the directors about it today, the scene with the knife and the child's mouth, the knife is made out of foam, and they have a reflective, like a fake knife side that's on it or whatever. And then in post, they had to go through and make sure that there weren't any wrinkles on the knife and make sure that it was completely smooth. And so they had to do that in VFX, like little touch up things like that, just to make sure that what was done practically actually looks good. So they can be really complementary to each other too.
Yeah, so. I appreciate like small things. There's I don't know if you ever watch like Digital Corridor. That sounds right. Corridor Digital backwards, where they do like effects reviews. There's one in particular that like blew their minds that I really appreciated, where it was just like they couldn't do pickup shots for the last Bond film that came out, and they had a big continuity error because he was wearing gloves in the sequence, and then they realized that they didn't want him to be wearing gloves when he like went into this shootout in like another room, because he has to catch someone as he falls over or out of a window, and they're like, well, they don't that wouldn't have any traction, the glove would slip off, whatever. So they just digitally changed his gloved hand to a bare hand.
Yeah,
which when you're holding hands with somebody else becomes a very difficult proposition, and it's absolutely seamless, like just the digital flesh they put on there. So little corrections like that was just
that's a really good example. I mean, I think that a lot of times in the superhero movie stuff, that stuff gets rushed. You know, like the big example that I think of that was of really poor use was in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they took out Henry Cavill's mustache. I mean, it was clearly his mouth was messed up. Like it did not look good. You know, just let him keep the mustache.
we are running up on 10:30. We gotta start wrapping up. I have some very exciting.
Go get that Switch.
I have some very exciting news. BreakmanX just sent me a picture of the ticket that says we got a Switch 2 Mario Kart bundle. Yes. So I gotta wrap up and get out there.
So
yeah, if you're not there by like 11, she's gonna just walk away, right?
no, she'll get it no matter what. It's kind of a thing. We want to be there together for it because it's fun.
Sure.
But quickly, Jack, is there anything you'd like to say before we head off?
No, I'll keep it brief. Just saying, I'm really, really excited. My son wants to go with me to the midnight release. It's gonna be his first one, so I'm kind of excited to share this with him.
Yeah, it's also BreakboyX is there as well.
Nice.
And then the older one, I guess, is Break T-Neck. I don't know, but she's there too. It's a whole family of break people getting it. So that'll be fun. Try not to give away names. Maul. Maul's gonna walk in. They're just gonna throw Switch 2s at him.
Yeah. Now that you've got me here, Brie, I figure it's a good time to go into my dissertation on the rise and fall of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. So let me break it down here for you.
Next week.
You're good, man.
No,
go get it.
I'm just kidding. Logan.
Yeah. I guess last week I mentioned that I was waiting on a festival update for Edge of Oblivion. Unfortunately, it did not get into Fantasia, but there are several other festivals that I am waiting on
out there
to hear an update for.
Yeah,
So
keep sending it out. It's a good movie.
Yep, there's a few more that I'm gonna submit it to as well.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I can send you a link.
Yeah,
I've got
send
it up on
Ethan a
video.
link.
Submit to any Vegas ones you can find. I'll go put pressure on them.
You know
Yeah.
what? That's a good
Give
idea.
him the thumb
Maul's
screws.
scary when he wants to be.
Noted.
He'll shoot first. Darria.
I've been working at Camp Courage all week. It's a little kind of program for with the fire with women firefighters and girls who it's a 5-day camp, and I will be rappelling off of a building on Friday with a GoPro on my head.
I want to see the footage.
So I climbed the aerial ladder on Monday, 105 feet in the air.
Jeez Louise.
Nice.
Yeah, I've done some window bailouts, been hanging out of the window. So done a lot of different things this week. Got some cool footage. So I've been
awesome.
putting
Good for
that
you, Daria.
all together.
That would
got a lot
not
of
have
work
been
still
my
to do,
prediction
but-
for your week. Wow, that's
No.
intense. Nice. And Jess.
Yeah, I will not take up too much time. I know you need to go get your Switch, but it was great talking to Ethan, and it's been a great week.
And Nathaniel. What do you have to
I
say?
had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Good.
So
No, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed having you on the show, Ethan. Thank you so much for your time. I'm glad it worked with the planets being aligned with the corporate interests and all that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for spending your time. It was a really, really fun show. And we'll see you same time next week on the game show. Switch 2 special episode coming in hot.